I love going to the East Coast to play games. That's it. And we got our way of doing it, and I know we've had a lot of success doing that, and it's never been an issue for us.
And there he was, head coach Pete Carroll of the Raiders, talking about the Raiders and his success. Not the Raiders' success yet, anyway, or maybe it won't be, but Pete Carroll's success going to the East Coast to play in games that start at 10 a.m. for his teams, and i.e. the Seattle Seahawks. We're going to get into all that. First, welcome to Vegas Nation First and 10, brought to you by the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Station Casinos STN Sports. This is your go-to for Raider news and analysis. I'm Vinny Bonsignore. I cover the Raiders for the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Vegas Nation. To my right is my colleague and good friend, Adam Hill. He also covers the Raiders and everything else in Las Vegas for the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Vegas Nation as well. And I guess to set it all up, the Raiders obviously are going to New England to start their season. It's a game that'll start 1 p.m. New England time, but that means it's a 10 a.m. Kickoff here locally. So the body clocks, the time zones, all that. It's usually a pretty challenging ordeal or endeavor for teams going from the West Coast to the East Coast, although the teams from the East Coast going to the West Coast say the same thing. It's
Sure.
a challenge. Well, in Pete Carroll's 14 seasons in Seattle, get this, the Seahawks were 24-11 in those games, including, I think, winning 16 of the last 19 or 21, I think it was. But it was some ridiculous number of success. Like, it's kind of unheard of, actually. But the Raiders, for somehow, some way, Pete Carroll and his staff mastered traveling to the East Coast. And, you know, when you're in Seattle, you do a lot of traveling. It's just the furthest outpost in the NFL. So you're going to rack up the travel miles. But you know, he figured out a way. He wasn't very forthcoming on what those ways were when I asked him that question. But two things. Number one, that we do know, his teams travel 2 days ahead. So the Raiders practice today on Friday here at the facility.
Around 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
Around 10 a.m.
Exactly. Shocking. They got on a plane at 1 o'clock, or were scheduled to taking a bus at 1 o'clock to the airport. I think their flight's at 2 o'clock. So they'll be able to get to New England in time to really kind of spend the next however many hours until kickoff getting used to the time zone. There's also sleep monitoring that they do. There's hydration, deals that he's with all the scientists and all the experts that he deals with. Hydration is a big part of it. But as he also told me and us, it helps when he said anyway, and I don't know how verifiable this is, but we'll just quote him. During that time, those 24-11 games, the Seahawks were plus 28 in turnover margin. So hello, that's how you win football games and lose them, quite honestly, in the NFL.
You do all the studying and all the sleep stuff you want. And
you're minus 28.
And by the way, I'm very into all that. I think I'm a big believer. I've talked about that for a long time on different things. But I think data-driven, science does a lot of good for teams in this situation. But again, you do all that. You don't turn the ball over and you get turnovers. Like, that's usually how you win.
Right.
in addition to all those other. But you create those things by doing the right things. They're leaving very early. They practice at 10 a.m., local time to get ready for the body clock. And they are acclimating, getting ready to go. I mean, these narratives all the narratives in the world are great, and they all matter. You can also say Seattle was just a good team at that time, right?
Yeah.
And we don't know if the Raiders are at that level yet. There also is the Geno Smith narrative here. I mean, one of the big factors of him coming to Vegas is, and I think everybody has seen it by now, Geno Smith is one of the league's best quarterbacks in domes.
Yep.
Pretty mediocre outside. And Seattle was outside. And so home Geno wasn't as good as road Geno in a lot of cases up in Seattle. This is one of only 5 games the Raiders will play outside all season long. So this is a test for sure. So you have all the positive narratives coming about Pete Carroll and his history, potentially negative one about Geno Smith that he could try to overcome here. There's all kinds of numbers you can find all the time. What matters is 2 teams are going to take the field that don't really know what they have. I think there's a lot of unknowns on both sides. And it's going to be a fascinating game, I think, on Sunday.
Yeah. Are we counting the Colts game as an outdoor or indoor right now?
Indoor.
The roof
they might be outside.
Sure.
Yeah,
it's true. It'll be October, early October. It
Yeah.
might be a beautiful day, but like I never understood, days where you go to Glendale, Arizona, and it's 75 degrees and they close, and I'm like, what are we doing here? So I would imagine that it should be pretty nice in Indianapolis. So I'm hoping it's open because I think it's a spectacular
Give me the
state.
dome.
No. Give me the outdoor
inside.
feel of a real football game. Not a real football game, but you know what I'm saying. Like I like those elements. Hopefully, when we go to Indianapolis, it'll be open. But you're right. Geno Smith's numbers are just different indoors compared to outdoors. He's not the only quarterback that's a situation for, but it's certainly something to monitor in terms of. Starting on Sunday.
It's a staggering difference. Like a lot of the quarterbacks have like a variance, but his is pretty staggering.
Yeah. Now, in his, for I guess one thing that he's got going for him in terms of the outdoor games is that his Seattle Seahawks went to New England last year. Now it's a different, New England team, quite honestly, and they won that game. It was at the time considered maybe a little bit of a. I don't know if it was considered an upset. I shouldn't say that.
And New England was a 3-win team last year.
Yeah, but I mean it was early on too, so I don't know that everyone knew what was going on with New England, but something to monitor in terms of Geno's performance on Sunday outdoors. The Raiders will be back home for their home opener the following Monday against the Los Angeles Chargers. I almost call them the San Diego Chargers again. It's the LA Chargers. All right, so Adam, you brought up a lot of uncertainty. There's also a lot of similarities between these two teams. Maybe not the exact dynamics, but think about this for a second. Both teams are coming off 4-win seasons. Both teams got rid of highly inexperienced head coaches for extremely experienced head coaches in Pete Carroll and Mike Vrabel over in New England. They've got two offensive coordinators in Chip Kelly and Josh McDaniels. You remember that name, Josh McDaniels, who were, I guess, at the NFL level in any way for Chip Kelly, coaches that maybe didn't get the job done as head coaches, but are renowned offensive coordinators. You've got two teams that made massive changes defensively, right, in terms of personnel. In the Patriots side of things, it's a remade offensive line. The Raiders' offensive line is pretty much intact from last year. So there's a lot of their paths are a little bit similar in this case. But what both teams represent, because of everything that I just said, is uncertainty.
Both have really, really exciting rookie running backs.
There you go, that too, as well. Ashton Genty and
Travion
Henderson, the former Ohio State star, who, by the way, played for Chip Kelly last year.
Yeah.
So I guess my point, though, is, Adam, with all of those changes that we're talking about comes great uncertainty. So I think both teams are as curious about themselves as they are about each other. And I think from where I sit, I'm just as curious about both as I am for one or the other.
Yeah, and I think in addition to like the similarities that you just laid out, like a lot of shared history, right? I mean, from the Tuck Rule game to Tom Brady now being here with the Raiders as a minority owner, the longtime quarterback, obviously with the Patriots. You mentioned Josh McDaniels, Jacoby Myers had started his career there and had a pretty infamous moment with the Patriots here in Vegas against the Raiders at Allegiant Stadium. All the several former Raiders. Pete Carroll started his career in New England. Pete Carroll against them in the Super Bowl with an infamous moment there at the end of that game. So just a lot of this shared history that they have, a lot of familiar faces in addition to McDaniels, some former Raiders players that are over on that side as well. So there's a lot of narrative, a lot of storylines going into this game, but I think the biggest one is just what happens when they actually take the field. That's a lot of unknown.
I agree, and I'm gonna quote Pete Carroll. It helps when you're plus 28 on the turnover battle, and every I've been going around and around and around on this, Adam. The football games come down to about 4 or 5 key moments, basically, right? And so many of those end up being turnovers, one way or the other. We've talked about this, Adam and I, on Vegas Station First and 10. The Raiders simply they're not going to be a competitive football team again if they lose the turnover battle to the extent that they did last year. I think it was, minus 16. 29, they turned it over 29 times. They took it away 13 times. That's just not a winning formula, and I don't care how good you are, what the talent level is, if you're coughing the ball up. There's no teams that can win by that kind of, with that kind of disparity. There's no league, there's no team, there's just no way you could do that and expect to win. And I'll ask you this: for the Raiders to win, what does that turnover battle have to be to you?
In this game?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it has to be at least even. I don't think they
Right.
have to necessarily win it. I just think they can't lose it. I think that's
Definitely.
that's a big factor. And we say that. It happens all the time. There's always fluky results and weird things that happen. But I think that's, at least play even. Do not be negative in the turnovers in this game. I think that they're, obviously the Raiders have a new quarterback. The Patriots have a exciting young quarterback who made a lot of mistakes last year, but everybody says has cleaned up a lot of that. I do think that the quarterback battle is going to be key to obviously who wins the turnover battle too. So
Who's got the edge
Drake
there?
May Drake May has more talent. I mean, he's one of the his arm gets anywhere, his legs get him anywhere. I believe second in scramble yards last year in the NFL. He's just unbelievably talented. He just hasn't harnessed it yet. And Geno Smith, that's the exact opposite of Geno Smith, who was young and had all the talent in the world, never figured it out, and then all of a sudden, as a veteran, was like, you've got to corral everything and play a different kind of style, like kind of within yourself, and that's kind of what he figured out later in his career. And so they're opposite ends of the spectrum, I think. But Drake May's more talented. Geno Smith has been more established and more successful.
I want to stop you right there because one thing that I've been surprised about with Geno Smith, watching him day after day, is how truly talented he really is. And I've seen some pretty darn good quarterbacks, and I have to admit, even from the day that I started getting word that Geno Smith was on his way to the Raiders, I was like, Geno Smith, is that really? And then you start looking at the numbers and you start watching the film, and then for me, seeing him day after day, I'm like, this guy is pretty darn good. To your point, he harnessed that talent, but there's talent there. Like this is a highly talented quarterback that can make every throw, that can run. He can't run like Drake May probably at this stage of his career, but he's got juice in the legs as well. Yeah. So I don't know.
So did Amari Cooper.
What's that?
So did Amari Cooper.
Oh.
That's what he said. Plenty of juice. I don't know where. Nobody's not drinking it here.
I think he realized that. I think he got out there and was like, "Do I really want to do this?"
Well, I think that's exactly what.
I feel like
the idea of playing is better than actually having to go out there.
Football's
and practice.
a hard sport.
It's hard.
It's very hard. We both played. Granted, it was high school, but I'll tell you this: there are many afternoons when I'm looking at the other kids getting on the bus going home. I'm like, I wish I was over there with those kids. I hated football practice. It's just, and I think from Amari's standpoint, not to go off on a tangent, but he probably just said, "Look, I'm here and I need to be here. Do I really want to do what I have to do to get back over here? No." I'm going to go to the beach somewhere.
He did the veteran move of missing training camp, which is, that's a veteran move in all sports where you're like, I'll just wait to sign until the very end. But yeah, you come in and start practice. It's hard, and it's not a knock on. I'm not knocking him. Like
I'm with him.
He's collected his money. He's accomplished a lot. No reason to go through that grind if you don't love it. If you're not dying to get out there every day, that's probably not the right thing.
And don't need to financially.
Exactly.
He's set. By the way,
he can sit home and drink all the juice he wants.
Yeah, exactly.
He can afford it all.
By the way, to fill that spot, because remember he was on the 53-man roster. The Raiders signed him to the 53-man roster. They had an opening. They brought up Justin Shorter, the wide receiver, who was here last year, but actually as a tight end. He played 10 games for the Raiders, but went back and looked. He played well over 100. I think it was 130 or so. In 10 games, special teams snaps. So I'll say this, Adam. I think that Justin Shorter had a chance to dress out in Sunday's game more than Amari Cooper, to be honest with you. I think there was a good chance that because Amari just wasn't ready to play, that was pretty obvious, that Justin would have gotten the promotion from the practice squad and Amari would have been down. As it turns out, now Justin's on the 53-man roster, and I figure that he's going to get quite a bit of time, at least on special teams.
Yeah, I would think so. And special teams, while we're on this, takes on a renewed focus with the kickoff rule. If you haven't been paying attention, you're just now jumping back into watching football, which if you're watching us, you're watching it a lot, but 35-yard line now for touchbacks that go straight into the end zone.
Different world.
It's a different world. Teams don't want to do that. They don't want to give up the 35-yard line. We saw last night with the first game of the season trying some different things. You saw Brandon Aubrey, who is the kicker for the Cowboys, very strong-legged kicker, who looked like he was mad at himself on a couple where he was probably trying to kick short.
Yeah.
And they went too far, went into the end zone, and he was upset with himself because you just can't give up that free 35-yard line touchback, except in very certain circumstances.
Yeah.
You might be able to do that. But I think it's definitely important to watch. It's definitely important to have those really talented players on the special teams units to make those tackles because I was told by somebody today they think 80 to 90% of kicks could be returned. And last
Love
year,
it.
2 years ago, it was down to like 20. Even last year, it was only like 25%. So
Yeah.
it's a big play. It's a key play. And so watch for those special teamers to be very important players.
Without question. We're going to take a quick break, but before we do, hey, everybody, and first of all, forgot to thank everyone for all your support, all your subscriptions, all your likes, all of that. The word of mouth, it's been tremendous. Thank you. The numbers are through the roof. And you guys asked for this, and we are delivering. Great Raider news over at Vegas Nation at a highly discounted price. Check this out. A digital subscription to Vegas Nation can be had for the next 3 months, which basically covers football season, for 25 cents. That's 25 cents total for a 3-month digital subscription to Vegas Nation. Here's all you have to do. Go to mylvrj.com/nation, mylvrj.com/nation to sign up for a digital subscription to Vegas Nation for 25 cents for the next 3 months. You cannot beat that. Whether it's the price or whether it's everything that we deliver here at Vegas Nation. You don't have to go anywhere else. We respect everyone that's out there, but Vegas Nation is the best site for Raiders coverage. So go to mylvrj.com/nation for a 3-month digital subscription to Vegas Nation for 25 cents. On the other side, we will get further into the Raiders game, and I think we got a little, a little Q&A coming up?
Early look at some predictions for, I guess late look because it's
very late.
Maybe like a season overview.
Okay.
That we'll do real quick.
All right, we'll be back at it in just 1 second. Welcome back to Vegas Nation First and 10, brought to you by the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Station Casinos STN Sports. I'm Vinny Bonsignore. This is my colleague and great friend, Adam Hill. All right, it's that time. We've been at this for a long time. It feels like this offseason has been forever. So many changes with the Raiders. It's hard to keep track of it all. But the moment of truth, at least for week one, is about 48 hours away or so. Is there something that you are focused on, maybe a couple things that you're focused on or want to be focused on Sunday?
I mean, I think the obvious are rookies on offense. Dante Thornton, Ashton Jeanty in particular. How do they perform? How do the corners hold up? I mean, I think it's a big question going into the season, especially if there's some depth that is tested throughout the game. How does that work? But I think to maybe get a little more deep divey, it's what does Chip Kelly's scheme look like? I mean, Chip Kelly is one of the best offensive minds, of really a generation of football. But he's been out of the league for 7 years. Like he says, he's evolved a lot. How different is his offense look from what it was the first time he was in the NFL? And offense wasn't really his problem as a head coach, by the way. For people that are like, oh, he wasn't a great coach, like it wasn't his offense that didn't really work out. It was other things around being a kind of a CEO type.
I think
he's a really good offensive mind.
What was it? 10 games the first year. I think they went to the playoffs the first year. It might have been 2 years that they won 9+ games. So,
but really good offensive mind. Obviously, he's been doing it at the college level. He says, "Hey, look, the NFL game is different. I've evolved a lot since then." What does the scheme look like? I think that's the biggest thing I'm looking for.
Yeah, for me, I think that the offensive line, the Raiders' offensive line, which I'm probably a little bit higher on than some others, but this is gonna be a game to me where they have to, be the more physical team. I think the Raiders obviously want to run the ball with Ashton Jeanty, but a big part of that is the kind of push that they're going to be able to get up front. The Raiders were the worst running team by far in the National Football League last year by every metric, and it couldn't have been worse. And as a result, they had to throw the ball way too much. Again, whether it's when you talk about those turnovers, you know what other teams that win games do? They run the ball successfully, and for a lot of different reasons. So to me, it starts along the offensive line, and the Raiders made that change where Jordan Meredith is the center, Jackson Powers-Johnson is at guard. I want to see how capable Jordan, Jackson, and Dylan Parham are getting a push from the interior, because I think if they can do that, this team has a chance to be a really good running team this year.
Yeah, I think that's very true. Well, I mean, I'm sure people were interested in what we had to say. They're probably more interested in what some of the players had to say about what they're looking forward to on Sunday. We'll hear from them. And then Heidi Fang sat down with Chuck Esposito, as usual, STN Sports, with some great information for this coming weekend in the betting world. Everybody loves betting on sports, especially football, and it's back. So Heidi and Chuck, after we hear from some of the players and what they're looking for Sunday.
I'm super excited. I think that this is something that you prepare yourself for the entirety of the year. For me, obviously, I got traded here a little while ago, so it's been a bit of a change for me, but I'm excited to get going with the guys. I think that we try to bring a consistent mentality week over week of preparing, and that was the great thing about getting here in time for the preseason games and all three of them. Just getting into that mode of preparation day by day. And, you can't make things too big. I think that's one of the big things that I've taken away from my career so far is, you got to treat every opportunity like it's important. But, if you've been treating practice like it's important, it's not too much of a departure.
I can't wait. Me, Jen, him, Dylan, we're all pumped for it and just ready to just go out there, give it all, and just have fun with it.
This is my lifelong dream of being in the NFL, so knowing that my first regular season game and my debut will be as me as a starting receiver is definitely a great feeling.
I've always had a chip on my shoulder, and I think Pete kind of embodies that, and he always, what he preaches is kind of how he feels too, so definitely chip on our shoulder, and we're always competing. We got new guys, we got new coaches. There's definitely a new excitement in the building, and there's definitely kind of a new vibe, and I'm excited to see where that takes us, and but it's super cool to see everybody, having so much fun.
I feel like I got to lead in the way and move myself in a way, the role model to the younger kids, to show them how to do it, that it's possible, give them inspiration,
Something we've been working towards since getting drafted, since being a kid. There's a lot of different phases you can put it into. But now we're here, going into the season. I'm extremely excited to be a part of this awesome experience and just play my role the best that I can, doing the best thing I can for these older vets who have showed me a lot of love and showed me a lot of things around the building on how to prepare myself. And so now doing the same thing, being the best person in my role that I can be for this team this week. So, yeah, I'm excited.
We feel good, pretty confident. Had a great week of work. The bonus week, even helped us even more. We've been in here communicating, meeting as much as we can, just making sure everybody on the same page so we can get to it.
And joining us now here in the First and 10 podcast, we have Chuck Esposito in for his weekly segment from Station Casinos. He's the director there of the Race and Sports Book. Chuck, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Heidi. I know I said it last week, but I'm going to say it again. Yay, sports books. Football season's here. It kicked off the big game last night, and we're excited about week one.
That's right, Chuck. Like you said, yay, football. I'm excited. It's week one. I know you are as well. We have to talk Raiders first because the fans have been waiting for this day, for this moment. As of right now, I've seen some movement on the spread. It was, I believe, opened to 4. Now it moved down to 3. Now we're at 2.5. What can you tell us about some of the action that's come in on the Raiders?
Our guests are definitely showing the Raiders some love. We know that there's a little bit of a Raider bias with our guests out here. I think a lot has to do with, a new head coach in Pete Carroll, who's won a Super Bowl, new offensive coordinator in Chip Kelly. You add Geno Smith. We know they had some issues at quarterback last year. And then our number one pick, Ashton Genty, definitely helps as well. Patriots have a new coach, too, in Mike Vrabel. But two of their big guns, you look at Christian Gonzalez, their top corner, looks like he's going to be out now on Sunday. And their number one pick, Will Campbell, is extremely questionable as well. So I think all those factors kind of contribute to this number continuing to drop down below that key 3-point number.
Right. And when you think about that, even though it is their home turf, that's going to be a lot to contend with and a lot to get over. And I think a lot of people are very curious about what's going to happen with Vrabel versus Carroll when it comes to time for kickoff on Sunday. Have any thoughts on that? The coaches, if you just had to pick it like with the coaches in the chess match, who would you pick?
It's tough. They are both really, really good coaches. I think they add stability to their teams. I think that they'll embrace or they'll echo their coaches' persona or personality. Pete Carroll's won a Super Bowl. Mike Vrabel's been on Super Bowl winners. So I think it's going to be an interesting matchup to see how it unfolds. I'm curious to see how Drake May looks for the Patriots. Does he take that kind of jump year two? And for the Raiders, Geno Smith really solidifies that quarterback position. That offensive line, can they open up some holes for Ashton Genty? He's the key to that offense. And then with no Christian Gonzalez, I think that's going to open some things up for Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers and Mayer. So we'll see how the Raiders attack that. But the bettors, I think, and our guests are telling us, hey, 4, 3.5, 3, they were too high. So it's been fairly one-sided in favor of the Raiders so far, with about 72% of the tickets, Heidi, in favor of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Awesome. Well, last one for me, just any game that you're particularly looking at right now that has either maybe seen a lot of action or one that you're just looking forward to playing out as a football fan. What do you have on the docket here for us, Chuck?
I mean, there's two that really jump out to me. One is the Sunday afternoon game, and that's with the Detroit Lions traveling to Green Bay. We've seen the number jump up with the trade of Micah Parsons from 1.5 to 2.5. The line was adjusted huge for the Packers to win the Super Bowl, to win the North, where they became the favorite, not the Lions, who everybody thought would get there last year. If I'm a Lion fan, I've got a big chip on my shoulder. Lions beat them both games last year, yet they're getting points here. So I'm anxious to see that game. Then the Sunday night game last year, or between the Bills and Ravens. The Ravens beat the you-know-what out of them last year. Bills were undefeated, 3-0. They lost 35-10 in Baltimore, yet in the playoffs, Buffalo won 27-25. So big kind of revenge game for Baltimore. I think this game sets the stage for the early season in the AFC. Right now, Baltimore and the Bills are basically a pick-em. We'll see which way the guests kind of push that game. Who will be the favorite by the time they kick off on Sunday night.
Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hit this table and say, let's go. Let's get it started.
Like I said, Yay Sportsbook. We had a great crowd last night, and I anticipate this weekend it's going to be electric in here. Just a different buzz and atmosphere and hype and smile on guest faces. So we're excited about it from Red Rock and SDN Sports as well.
I can't wait, Chuck, and I appreciate your time so much. Look forward to talking to you. Now, as we keep saying, it's football season, but that's because if you're a football fan, you just can't help the excitement. It just brims over. So thank you so much again, Chuck, and look forward to talking to you again next week.
Our thanks to Heidi Fang and Chuck Esposito from Station Casinos STN Sports. All right, we got a little feature here that we're going to wrap things up with. And Adam, and I'm blind on this, right? I have no idea. This could be anything here. I'm kind of hungry right now. I'm hoping that it's something to do with food, but I don't know. We'll
I can rewrite this.
No, don't do that. Adam's just going to drop some questions on us, and we're going to do our best to answer them. I think we're going to go a little bit back and forth.
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about, or mostly specifically about this game on Sunday. We want to talk a little about the season in general that we're prepared to embark on, and just kind of a back and forth on our thoughts on this. The season will go well if.
The season will go well if the Raiders improve their run game and win the turnover battle. I think that, to me, they either have to be even on turnovers or plus on turnovers. If they don't, this is not going to be a successful season. And they got to. To me, they have to. They were 32nd in rushing last year. I think that needs to get into the teens, mid-teens.
I will say some obvious ones first. Geno Smith stays healthy.
Okay, all right.
That's a very important one. I think health is a big one, and so far health has held up here in the preseason. But I think it's if young players are ready. There are going to be a lot of young players in the lineup. Obviously we talked about, the skill position guys on offense with Ashton Jeanty and Dante Thornton. You look on the defensive side, will a guy like Darren Porter be able to step up? Will one of the young linebackers potentially be able to step up? Caillou Blue Kelly and Darren Porter on the other side. I mean, there's all these different guys that are young that are going to be counted on for key roles. They have to be ready, and they have to be kind of advanced beyond their years for this team to have not only the kind of season that they could have, but to even exceed their own expectations of where they're going to be. They need the young guys to step up.
Okay, I like it.
Here's where things could go sideways.
Well, I'll steal a page from your book or playbook. If Geno Smith gets hurt, that's almost that's a deal breaker, for the Raiders. But also, if they're loose with the football the way they were last year, I keep harping on turnovers, but it's just so important. It'll go sideways if they're loosey goosey with the ball and not taking it away, and if they cannot figure out a way to develop a reliable run game. I think that's going to go hand in hand with what Geno is able to do offensively. But yes, certainly it goes sideways if Geno goes down, if they can't run the ball, and if they're loosey-goosey with the football. I like saying loosey-goosey.
Yeah, for sure.
Who doesn't?
I think if the offensive line doesn't take a step forward, I think that's a big one.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people expect that to happen. I expect them to be better. I think even though it's largely the same personnel, I think the Chip Kelly scheme fits them better, and I think that they're going to have more success just based on that. But that's not a guarantee. Like, that's a lot of assumptions.
Yeah, it is. And real quick on that too, I was actually watching the offensive line today. Brendan Carroll is the offensive line coach, but a guy that's always hovering, and basically his baby is the offensive line, just to kind of be the extra set of eyes and ears, is Joe Philbin. And I think his memory, we saw his influence pay dividends when he became basically he was the offensive line coach last year, interim offensive line coach. So I think all of that could put the Raiders on a better path from the offensive line standpoint. But if it doesn't work, they're in trouble.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. One thing I am absolutely certain about.
I kind of have two, but I think Ashton Genty is going to run for over 1,200 yards this year, and I think
to something we're going to talk about later.
Yeah, so. And I think Brock Bowers is going to take over as the best tight end in football.
Well, I think he already was. I think
it's going to solidify that.
I think Brock Bowers' numbers go down, but I don't think that means he's any worse. I think that's just by nature of what this offense can be. That's fair. I don't want to ruin something for later either, because I'm fairly certain
you bring up a good
things.
point real quick with the Brock Bowers thing. But we've seen Travis Kelce come into Allegiant Stadium, or maybe it was I don't know, but he had like 4 catches the entire game, and 3 or maybe even all 4 of them were touchdowns. So numbers might go down, but are you saying impact goes down or impact?
No, I think impact go up. Numbers can go down and impact can still go up. That's kind of how I think this can go. I mean, I think he's obviously a very phenomenal player, but I think last year a lot of it was function of a couple of things. One, I mean, Devonta Adams was gone. They didn't really have a go-to guy. They were behind in every single game. They had to throw 1,000 times, and that I think is a large factor of why he put up the numbers that he did, in addition to being just a phenomenal player. But I think you can definitely have numbers go down and still have more impact, still be a more important player. And
have it be on third downs that convert first downs, throws that touchdowns, drive continuers, or putting a team away, running clock. Like I'm with you. I think the numbers actually might go down, but I think now part of this is the rest of the team doing its job, because how many times have we talked to Brock Bowers and he's like, yeah, I know I had a big game, but this sucks because we lost. Like he was downright down. If the Raiders can win games and he's doing something similar or even just a little bit less, I think that impact, you're going to feel it in a major way, how good he is.
I mean, I'm trying to go a little bit off the board.
Right.
It's a hard thing to quantify. I was going to say Trey Tucker has his best season. Now, that's probably not that hard to do. He hasn't put up big numbers. But I think Trey Tucker has a impactful year. Okay. I think his numbers are there, and he plays pretty well.
For all you fantasy football players,
I don't know if he's enough to. I don't know if he's going to do enough to be on the fantasy radar necessarily. But he's going to have a good season. My biggest question mark.
My biggest question mark is the defense. Yes, the defense without question, and specifically the young cornerbacks. I'm not ready to call it a concern because, there was no
question.
There was no real time during training camp where I was like, oh my god. Like, remember last year with the quarterbacks, we were like, oh boy,
yeah, this
looks really bad. I've never really felt like that about the cornerbacks this year during training camp. They had good moments. They had moments where they were getting beat. That happens in training camp. So it's a question, but not necessarily a concern. But if it's a concern, I guess I wouldn't be completely shocked, because if it turns out.
I was going to say corners, but I'm actually going to go with Malcolm Kuntz. I mean, obviously, I love Malcolm. What he did at the end of 2023 was spectacular. But it's a long road back, and a lot of times that first year is still kind of a struggle. It's that usually 2 years later you see the guy really get back to full strength. But Malcolm Kuntz, to me, is a big question mark, and it's not. I'm not saying in a negative way. It's just if he's healthy, he could be really impactful. They could really, really benefit from that, but we just don't know where yet.
I actually think, in retrospect, I mean, I still remember that day that happened, and the mood in the locker room afterwards, it was just sullen. But in retrospect, it was the best thing that could have happened outside of not happening, the injury not happening, was that it happened when it did, because he's had literally a full year now to get. I mean, it's literally a year ago, almost right now, right?
It's today.
It is today, right?
Yep.
No, it was Thursday. Was it Friday?
No, it was Thursday, but it was September, whatever it takes. September
I got
4th.
you. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so but it has been a full year, and he's just been hard at it. You know, we would see him from time to time here at the facility last year, just trying to get ready. But you're right. It's you don't know. I mean, first of all, it was a question even going into last year before the injury: was he going to be able to pick up where he left off? Because prior to that, Malcolm was kind of, borderline disappointment.
Yeah.
Or he was a disappointment.
Had this huge breakout second half, and then all the excitement of building on that went away. This isn't a great discussion question because I think we have the same answer, but it's the most interesting prop bet I saw on the Raiders season. Over under 359.5 total points scored in the regular season.
What does that average out to? Tell me.
So I'm very good at math, Vinny. 21.15 points per game.
Over.
I knew you were going to say that. I also agree with that. Last year they were in like the 18.5 range. So this is like a 3-point per game jump. I think 20 teams last year were over 21.15 points per game. So it's a little more than half the league. I do think they'll be in the top half of the league in scoring. I think part of that is a function of I don't know that the defense is going to be great. Part of it is that they have a lot of weapons. They're going to have to score, but I think they're going to be capable of scoring. So I think that is the most interesting prop bet I saw. I think it's one of the better bets I saw too.
No, I can't. I'm not allowed. I'm not allowed. I don't even remember the last time I actually did do any of that.
Me neither. The season win total, and I think we're both going to agree on this too, is 7.5. Over or under, and why?
I'm going to go over, and part of the reason is what we just discussed. This offense, I think, is going to be much better. And I think as much as we want to talk about defenses, and defenses definitely, you got to have a good defense to have a real successful season, especially to win championships. But it doesn't, I don't care how good your defense is. If you can't score points, you're in trouble. And the Raiders have been in trouble really the last 2 years now with their offense. And you go back to the last half of 2023, which was Josh McDaniels' his first year here. No, 2022.
Second.
Yeah, his 2022 year, the offense started pretty good. It was actually a top 10 offense for a little while there, and then it just went to heck. And Derek Carr just lost it, and it's been a struggle ever since the second half of 2022, right on down to last year. I think that gets fixed this year, and it's going to give him a chance to win more than 7 games.
Yeah, I've never been more certain of a team finishing either 8-9 or 9-8. I think that's what this team is.
Yeah.
I was very vocal about it. We argued a lot about it early in the offseason that I thought they were doing everything they could to avoid being awful. And I think that they've done that. I think that's where they're at. They're not going to be terrible. They're going to be competitive. I think there's 4 home games that they should absolutely win against really bad teams.
Yeah.
And now all you're looking at is saying, can you win 4 of the other 13 games? Can you find a way to win those to get over this number? And I think you can.
Does that start on Sunday?
We'll have to check the paper because I had to put a prediction in the paper in the game preview, so you can check that out. But
at VegasNation.com,
which you can subscribe to, lvrj.com/nation.
MyLVRJ.com/nation. 25 cents for the next 3 months of a digital subscription to Vegas Nation.
Yep, and I think they're going to be very competitive in a lot of games. I think they're going to win either 8 or 9. And I don't think they can probably win that much more, and I don't think they can really lose that many less. I think they're going to be right in that area. So that's where I've been for a couple months, and I'm not changing now that we're going into the season.
Yeah, if anything, I'm more affirmed about that after seeing what we've seen, the good and the bad, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So there you go. I'm with you.
So that's our discussion.
It's crazy when Adam and I two agreements.
Yeah.
You know, we were like
over
really good
points.
friends too, but we just
over on points. Well, we have different philosophies certainly on team building and that sort of thing.
No,
so
it's
I think
not.
we do.
It's not. So,
but that's where the season is.
I just don't want to be in perpetual rebuild mode. I want to. At some point, let's get after it.
But you have to be ready. You have to have a foundation first.
True.
That's what they're trying to do right now. So we'll see how the season plays out. We both expect them to be much more competitive, win more games. They got to do it on the field, and that starts Sunday.
It does start on Sunday. Look, again, to everyone out there, all kidding aside, thank you so much for all your support. We truly appreciate it. The numbers have been just phenomenal, and that's a tribute to you. So thank you very much for that. The Vegas Nation digital subscription that we're talking about, what a great gift for a friend that's a Raider friend, a family member that's a Raider fan, or just mention it to some of your friends, fellow Raider fans. 25 cents for the next 3 months, digital subscription to Vegas Nation. You just have to go to mylvrj.com/nation and get all the details and sign up for that. Appreciate all the support. Thank you to Heidi Fang for all the great work that she does. The Las Vegas Review-Journal, Station Casinos, STN Sports for all your support. It's Friday. We're getting ready to travel to New England to cover the game on Sunday. We'll be back at it after the game on Sunday with all of our thoughts, all of our observations. By the way, over at Vegas Nation, or if you want to pick up the paper, our big Vegas Nation spread that we do every Sunday is going to be available. Feature story on Geno Smith. What do you have? What do you got going on?
I did a Q&A with Dante Thornton.
Ooh,
and,
there you go.
He was actually very interesting. He called me out. I don't know if called me out is the right word. He stopped kind of in the middle of it. It was like, why do you know all this stuff about me, basically?
Do
research.
You know?
Yeah, like, why do you know all
you
this
stalker?
stuff about me? How do you find this stuff out? But, yeah, we actually do research before we do Q&A,
Yeah.
surprisingly enough.
He seems like a really good dude.
He's great. He's very funny and very into dogs, very into video games, too.
He told me it's going to be an expense. The Raiders go to, I don't know if you talked to him about this, they go to D.C. in 2 weeks, and he's from Maryland.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be an expensive trip for the poor rookie.
For sure. So, yeah, check that out. Check out all the great content at Vegas Nation.
Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy Saturday's college football, UNLV against UCLA on Saturday, 5 p.m. local time. We'll all be keeping an eye on that. And then 10 a.m. Pacific time kickoff for the Raiders against the New England Patriots. Enjoy the game. We'll talk to you guys after the game. Thank you very much.